All right. Let's do this. What's up, sons? It's Blind Red with Son of a Tech once again, and today we have yet another episode of the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Blind Red on the internet and Matthew in real life, and today we're going to be talking, of course, about my sell-off of Caspa, because I know that's something you guys want to know. And we'll go ahead and admit that obviously I did not see 15, 16 cents coming this soon, so, you know, it is what it is. I sold off, and unfortunately, you missed the boat on some of those things. At the same time, this is, you know, in my humble opinion, something that is pretty commonplace in cryptocurrency, and I still always focus on generating revenue over holding a coin, because holding a coin is just gambling, and I'm not a big gambler. So that's kind of the way I look at it. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but we are also going to be talking about Bitcoin nearing the pre-halving target zone towards a $50,000 price. We also have BZ Miner releasing their beta to add support for Dynex coin. We have a new release of Rethereum, which came along with a slight pump in the Rethereum price and a full detachment from the Ethereum GitHub. So Rethereum fully detaching from Ethereum, which is good. We have a new release from SRB Miner, conversely from BZ Miner, dropping the Dynex support because of the kerfuffle that went on there that we talked about a couple weeks ago. NeurAI has launched a new release or version for their project as well. The token for Alephium, the bridge, went up live. The bridge between Alephium and Ethereum, resulting in, once again, a huge uptick in price. We have Flux Core beta coming December 15th, which is actually super interesting. I am, as a nerd, very curious about their benchmark charts, and that'll be super fun to deal with. We also have a billion getting listed on xt.com. And a news weekly update progress report for BlockX, which also recently saw a huge uptick in price, as well as a huge uptick in the mining profitability of the Antminer D9, which you can purchase from today's sponsor. Let's go ahead and hop into it. Today's sponsor is BT Miners. BT Miners has been a longtime sponsor of the channel and a proven reliable source for ASIC miners. If you are looking to purchase ASICs hardware from Bitcoin to Dogecoin miners, they are available for purchase on bt-miners.com. BT Miners has recently launched an app on iOS and Android that lets you browse their inventory by profitability and return on investment. Follow the affiliate link in the description and use promo code SOAT for a discount. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The new app from BT Miners is actually pretty dope. I have it installed on one of my iOS devices. I have been chatting with them about a couple bugs for a little bit. The adjustment of the price per kilowatt hour wasn't working. And then even when it did, it doesn't let you go to tenths of a cent, which is problematic for a lot of people calculating their power. For example, you know, most power rates are going to halves at least to the tenths of a cent, which is actually comes out to very, very important when you're trying to calculate out your profitability, etc. The crypto markets are absolutely just blowing up today. Just a quick overview here for you guys. It's quite amazing. Anybody that's into proof of work right now is just having a grand old time. Alephium, which I talked about over on Locals earlier this week, and its potential to go up, has gone up 100% over the past 7 days. And it is now at 42 cents. Pretty incredible. NeurAI, which obviously just released their update, also is gone up quite a bit over the past 7 days by 81%. And Beam, an old one, I had this discussion with some people earlier this week. I said on Twitter that all of the proof of work coins, layer 1 proof of work coins, have been going up over the past 30 days. And to which I had some people reply saying, oh, but not any of the old coins. When in fact, actually over the past 30 days, even things like Ethereum Classic, etc., Raven coin even, has gone up and been in the green. So we are kind of on an uptick. This is almost akin to what we see during a bear market where anything you purchase, everybody's going to look like a hero right now. So take that with the grain of salt as far as when you're going through your social media feeds and people are saying X coin is up this much, B coin is up this much, whatever it may be. It is kind of the trend of the entire market. Now, there are some that are outperforming others, and the ones that are going to outperform are going to be the ones that are putting in actual development time. So even if it is an older token or older coin, it has the potential to go up further when they release things that are relevant to cryptocurrency, especially if it's things that are interoperability between chains or new ways of transacting, all of that type of thing, right? We even have Dynex, the hopeful savior, right, for GPU mining. Unfortunately, we had that recent kerfuffle with SRB miner cheating the system, knocking all AMD GPUs off of the network for the most part. I mean, obviously you can mine with AMD GPUs, but the efficiency is quite terrible. That being said, BZ Miner is hoping or aiming to, cover this for everybody, but the reports right now for the AMD GPU miner on Dynex, it's not that great. We have Ironfish going up 65%, Caspa over the past week. Obviously, the big one that we're talking about broke 15 cents for a little bit. It's corrected back down a tad, but it's at 14.3 cents, which is incredible. Nexus gone up another 60%, which is crazy. Meowcoin 50%, Chlor AI 54%, Kyla Coin 53%. Neoxa, 35%, Radiant, 27%, and actually most of that today, speaking of, Radiant was the follow-up to Lithium, and we'll talk a little bit about this because basically I posted it on Locals, and I think it's safe to talk about this now. This is a little bit of a compounding factor that I'll get into when we start talking about the updates on the platforms themselves. We have Raptorium, an older CPU coin, up 10%. We have Decred up 3%, and then it kind of falls off from there. So everything's looking fantastic. I think everybody should feel extremely bullish. Everything's great. If you got your GPUs, GPU mining starting to look feasible, and depending on what you're doing, and if you're participating at the core base, then half my GPU farm's on right now, about 100 amps of it. I'm trying to get 200 amps on. I am struggling to get a few more ASIC miners pushed out the door to hosting, so I can suck up the other 100 amps that are currently being used for testing and flashing firmware onto ASIC miners. So it's been a nightmare. I've been out at the farm, frankly, like 16 hours yesterday, another 8 hours today. I've been just plugging away, trying to get everything converted, switched over to what I want to be mining. We'll be talking about that over on Locals at sonofatech.locals.com after the stream today. Yes, that will be a supporters only stream. And that is because we have to be very careful with some of these coins as not to flood them. So let's go ahead and talk about the halving. As everybody here is probably aware of, that I've talked about this forever. We have the next halving of Bitcoin coming up in March or April of 2024. This will inevitably have to drive the price of Bitcoin up to compensate for the increase in the cost to mint Bitcoin. That being said, we do at the exact same time have S21s hitting the market at 17 joules per terahash. We have new firmwares that have come out that are even getting old S19s down to 25 joules per terahash. So efficiency is getting much, much better. You can drop, you know, $120 to $150 on a hash board, plug it into an old S19 and get down to like 25 joules per terahash. If you have a Z-Linux board, you know, or you can pick those up even cheaper, you can get them down to about the same as well. You'll just have a dev fee added on top of that. The first board I'm referring to, of course, is the Epic board. You start getting into S19J Pros, J Pros, S19 Pros, those sort of things. Their efficiency is getting closer and closer to 20 joules per terahash. So we are reducing essentially the cost to mint a Bitcoin, but conversely, we will also have the reduction in rewards. So hitting this moving target is actually very difficult. And so I use outside sources to kind of determine what that will be. Remember, my initial price target from, you know, the beginning of the year for this next halving was somewhere between 45,000 and 50,000 USD per Bitcoin, or the cost to mint Bitcoin, etc., based on the average cost of electricity across all Bitcoin mining hash power, etc. And that does appear to be what the market analysis is starting to come out. And if we take a look at Cointelegraph, you can see here, they say Bitcoin nears pre-halving target zone towards $50,000 Bitcoin price. Bitcoin price action has yet to match one Bitcoin trader's long-term target, but patience is the key, he says nearly 1 year later. Bitcoin is nearing a Fibonacci retracement level, which could mark the top of its pre-halving rally. That is according to popular social media trader Titan of Crypto, who on November 19th reiterated a pre-halving Bitcoin price target of up to 50,000 US dollars. $39,000 is pre-halving Bitcoin price target range floor. Bitcoin faces stiff resistance sliding back to the $40,000 mark. Several attempts to crack it have failed in the past week. As Cointelegraph reported, the area immediately below also holds significance for aggregate market profitability, with $39,000 likely a break-even point for those who bought in during the 2021 bull market. Titan of Crypto has also flagged $39,000 as an important boundary, this time, however, as the bottom of where Bitcoin USD should end up prior to the April 2024 block subsidy halving event. Quote, the pre-halving rally I told you about 1 year ago is about to reach its target zone between $39,000 and $50,000, he told X subscribers, adding that patience is the key. The update referenced an original post from December of 2022 when Bitcoin was still preparing to recover from a trip to the 2-year lows of 15,600. Then Titan of Crypto used Fibonacci retracement levels to predict a pre-halving peak of up to $50,000 at the time of a 220% increase. Each cycle, Bitcoin had a rally before its halving occurs. Those rallies topped within the 61.8 to 78.6% Fibonacci retracement area, part of the commentary noted at the time. Now, what I find most interesting about this analysis is this is a trading analysis, and then we have the opposite side of that, which is the cost to mint analysis, right? And when we look at those two in tandem, we can start to see kind of a range of which Bitcoin will fall into. And that is why when I see kind of this prediction between the $40,000 mark and the $50,000 mark, and then I align that with what I look at for the cost to mint a Bitcoin, adjusted, of course, for efficiency and the halving, they both seem to line up. So I think right now, and I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, I still feel very solid about that price point of being between 45,000 and 50,000 after the halving. Now, of course, once this price hits in and we see a significant time of increase in the markets, that's when we start to see unreasonable retail investors come in and start to drive the price up even further, right? And that is because it looks like Bitcoin's going up. They don't realize what the reason for it is. And then you get that euphoria. And then we kind of pump way beyond what you actually would expect it to go to. And that usually happens 6 months to a year afterwards. I cover all of this in my crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com if you want more details on it. how that affects, the pricing of hardware, etc. I think the days of cheap hardware are going to be very short-lived. There is still some pretty decent deals on equipment that you can pick up, either from, BT Miners, the sponsor of today's channel, or Coastal Crypto, who does a really good job here in the stateside, who I've partnered with quite a bit. You can check out their affiliate link down in the description below as well. I've been actually purchasing directly from them because I've been able to get some better pricing on some of their bulk orders for their S19s. And that is kind of the strategy that I've been going with. Now, this is part of the thing that I went ahead and sold the Caspa for. So let's go ahead and get into the Caspa news, because a part of what really drove the price up of Caspa over the past week, of course, was the announcement with Binance. We also had, right before that, we had Uphold. Once again, like I stated at the beginning of the show, when we're seeing the rise in alternative cryptocurrencies, all of them are going to go up a little bit because a rising tide raises all ships. Some will perform better than others, and it all has to do with the adoption rate, the amount of development that's going in on at the time, etc. Way back last year, actually before last year, really starting in like October of 2021, somewhere around there, we had Caspa come out. I talked about it, and the reason why I was very interested in Caspa is becoming, I think, pretty clear to everyone else now, which is that it was a ground up cryptocurrency. Now, a little caveat, the algorithm is a modified version of an algorithm that was for OBTC heavy hash. It's just a modified version of that. So on that front, technically the mining algorithm is not fully ground up. That is kind of modified from that. And the potential for that in the future is that eventually we move off of ASICs and we move on to like laser mining or something along those lines, which I've covered in old videos. The big thing, of course, is a lot of people like to say it solves the trilemma. The tech, from my perspective, when I looked at Caspa, that was interesting was the approach to transaction speeds and taking an aim at the actual blocks per second as opposed to the transactions per second. Now, the only thing that I actually kind of disagree with, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out from the mining perspective specifically, is its short emission time. As you know, sometime 2035 or something along those lines, we run out of emissions. And then what we need to see from Caspa is a huge adoption rate to bring up those fee levels to match and make mining worth it. That doesn't mean, though, on the flip side, that that doesn't in the short term, of course, affect it positively from the actual users and purchasers of the cryptocurrency. So one of the big things that happened here, we'll cover real quick, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Caspa debuts on Binance Futures with 50x leverage. Caspa, a cryptocurrency that has seen a remarkable 163% gain over the past month, has made its debut on Binance's perpetual future market or futures markets, allowing traders to take positions with up to 50x leverage in USDT pairings. This move comes as Caspa continues to demonstrate a strong performance in the crypto space, despite a slight price dip of 4.49% to 12 cents today. And obviously we're back up to 14.3 cents now. Caspa's innovative proof of work directed graph, the POW DAG, right? Hybrid consensus mechanism has significantly enhanced GPU mining efficiency. Of course, we're not talking about GPU mining either. So once again, we've already made this shift. A lot of these articles and stuff are not going to keep you up to date. Caspa is not only moving very quickly in price, but it's also moving very quickly in the typical adoption rates from a mining perspective. So let me give you the lowdown. When Caspa first launched, all you had was a CPU mineable cryptocurrency. That's all you could mine it with was CPUs. This is exactly like Bitcoin. And then eventually somebody came out with a GPU miner for Caspa, and that is exactly what happened with Bitcoin. And then finally, of course, or not finally, then you have what's known as FPGAs, or field programmable gate arrays. These are specialized equipment, not as specialized as ASICs, but specialized equipment that people can write custom software for and integrate it into the hardware to mine it. These are more efficient than GPUs, and that is what Caspa moved to. The FPGA days were very short-lived with Caspa in general. To give you an idea, other algorithms that are currently FPGA for cryptocurrencies that were released around the same time as Caspa are still on FPGAs. This includes things like Radiant. This includes things like Ethereum, which actually only has private bit streams right now. It includes these kind of cryptocurrencies that are not moving as fast on the mining side of things, given their kind of similar release times. They're a few months behind maybe, but at this point you would expect ASICs to be released for them. Caspa got ASICs very, 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 very quickly. And this is definitely something that I think a lot of these articles are going to miss, etc. So it's not that it enhanced GPU mining efficiency, it's that it enhanced mining efficiency and not transaction speed. But like we were talking about before, transaction speed is a result of blocks per second, or the amount of blocks per second. So the block speed, processing speed. So when it's kind of funny to read these things from investing.com because they're so far behind, they don't actually understand what's going on with the tech behind Caspa. Another big thing, of course, that has been talked about for a long time, it was that move to Rust. That's going very well. That's increasing the theoretical output of transactions per second for Caspa, for the blocks, as a result of the blocks per second. So all these things are really what's driving Caspa further along. So these advancements, though, and both of these are wrong. This entire sentence is incorrect, but these advancements have propelled Caspa into the top 30 cryptocurrencies by market capitalization in just 17 months since its launch. The day before its listing on Binance Futures, Caspa announced the upcoming edition via Twitter on Thursday. Despite today's market fluctuations, Caspa has experienced an extraordinary year-to-date increase of 2,353%, growing its market cap from January's $82.35 million to a current valuation of $2.53 billion. Looking ahead, a price prediction algorithm suggests that Caspa may see a modest growth of 2.5% by December 17th amidst a consolidating crypto market, which overall has risen by 26.6% over the past month. This forecast aligns with Binance's significant presence in the spot trading volume, currently holding a dominant share of 43% according to CoinGecko's report. Now, of course, the big question is, will Binance list this as a spot? And there have been reasons why they haven't yet, and reasons why so on. I'll let everybody else discuss those. I'm not too interested. Now, in my particular situation, like I said, back when it was like 2.2 to 2.4 cents, or I think it was 2.8 cents. Anyways, at the 2 cents mark, I sold the original million that we mined with the GTX 1063 gigabytes. And I purchased cryptocurrency or S19s. Now, these S19s that I purchased, I then also modified with new hash boards, and I sent them off for hosting, essentially paid for the deposit on the power and all of that. I am in a position right now, or I have been over the past year, where I've been struggling to keep up with essentially paying for the mining farm that I made a huge mistake on. I'm learning a ton of lessons right now, and basically having my power agreement go up with a fee that drove me up to, currently right now I'm at 11 cents a kilowatt hour, whereas my purchase power agreement was supposed to be 4.5 cents in the winter and 5.5 cents in the summer. Technically, they kept the rates the same. Either way, what ended up happening, of course, is because I have a majority of GPUs, it made it highly unprofitable. Of course, Caspa compensated for this because of the spec mining that I did last year in Caspa. What I wanted to do, and what I ended up doing, was calculating out a way that I could even host these rigs, purchase them, and then make up that revenue so that on a month-to-month basis, I could cover my costs. And that's what I have done. So there's a couple ways that you could look at this from any perspective. One, I had to survive those months regardless, meaning that it was getting to the point to where the Caspa was going to come out of the account to cover costs, in which case I would have to pull out the Caspa, pay for the monthly fees, and then still not have anything that's generating revenue. So my decision for doing this was to generate revenue to cover my costs, because I didn't have a guarantee that if I left Caspa sitting in a wallet, that it was going to cover my costs. Now, how wrong was I? Obviously, very wrong. It would have covered the costs. It kept going up over that time, and it would have, I haven't done the math yet, but it would have still worked out better, obviously, to keep that million Caspa, as it would be worth like $150,000 or whatever at this point, and then we'd be good. Of course, some of that would have come out over the past few months to cover that. The other thing that I covered, of course, as you guys may or may not know, you can check out my video on it, but I have an autoimmune disorder called ankylosing spondylitis, and my spine was fusing, and I had to pay for treatment for that. So those are the reasons why. Would it have been better to keep the Caspa? Yes. But luckily the investment that I've made is covering my costs now, and actually doing a little bit better than that. So it ends up kind of, for me, I can survive. I'm happy, and I get to keep doing what I love doing, which is mining and creating content for you guys. So it's a net win. I did also obviously pick up a day job over the past year, so I've been doing that as well to cover the family costs, so that the business for the mining can just get reinvested into the business, which is all I did with a majority of that. So there you go. That is the entire reasoning behind it. And I was wrong. It went up way more than I expected it to at this time. I don't know that I have any predictions for you guys whatsoever. I do think we are technically, if I looked at the timeline and we compared to Kadena still, which was the comparisons I was making, we do still have till April till we know for sure if we're out of the woods. That being said, it looks like the difficulty on the network is increasing reasonably enough to compensate for the amount of Caspa that it is generating. So there you go. Let's go ahead and talk about Rethereum. Now, Rethereum was a project that I presented to you guys a little while ago. We talked about mining it, so on. It's another ET hash fork. I get it. Like, I'm so tired of ET hash forks. Half of them get rugged. Most recently, proof of work blocks just got rugged. And it's a very sketchy thing to get into in general if you're going to be like spec mining, etc. This one was unique in the fact that it did modify the hashing algorithm with Blake 3. What this meant is that essentially none of the ASICs for ET hash would work on this network. That's the first net positive. And then the second net positive was that they fixed a few things that were basically allowing people to manipulate EVM and all of that, MEV, and they implemented a fix for that too. These are two things that no other ET hash fork has done. And actually recently it has begun to pay off as Rethereum is starting to recover, albeit I think personally that is the majority of a rising tide raising all ships, but they do have a new update. And I found the update to actually be quite promising, specifically for one specific section, which is completing a separation from the Ethereum code base. Some of the remaining code used in Rethereum would pull from Ethereum's GitHub repositories. This is my pet peeve in all forks. It's like you go in there, you look at the fork, and then half the damn code is still just left with references to the old coin it was forked from. That's getting cleaned up now, and I think that is very good. They say they have made significant changes for this to no longer be the case, and it makes Rethereum code completely self-contained, which is obviously something they needed to do. There's a new testnet as well getting launched, And it is the Krontos, I believe, is the testnet start parameter. I believe the two testnets are Caspa, yeah, and Krontos. So there you go. Now, this is going to, what they've been able to do is mimic the upgrades that were done in the merge and the Shanghai upgrade, but obviously leave proof of work enabled. And so then from this point, I think you'll be on par as far as Ethereum post proof of stake upgrades in Rethereum. This is another thing that really has not been solved on other ET hash forks. So there is some promise here if you're interested in it. I've already mined my bag. As you guys know, with these spec mines, I'm going to mine the bag and then I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to go back to it unless it becomes the next profitability thing to go to. I mean, even Dynex, I don't mine anymore because frankly, you know, the profitability is not that good and spec mining is where it's at. Like if you have GPUs, just spec mine. Find something that's not listed, that's difficult to do and takes time to do, and you're going to be paid off very, 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 very well, right? This is Kaspa, this is Radiant, this is, I mean, Dynex I did the same thing with. You find these things that aren't click and play in Hive OS and you will be rewarded. You're going to have some duds. That's going to happen. I've had a few duds. I believe, I'm trying to think of the last dud. It was an ET hash fork, Flora. I completely dudded on that one. That one, luckily I was only mining with an iPolo mini. I did do a solo block on proof of work blocks with the, iPolo mini, got off of that, hit a couple blocks and I was like, all right, cool. I'll leave it. Luckily I got off of that before that whole crash, but this is kind of the idea behind it. Now, interestingly enough, we have support for ET hash Blake 3 and dual mining with ET hash B3 coming from SRB miner. Now, yes, SRB miner got in a lot of trouble. They, you obviously losing a ton of trust within the mining community. However, of course, if we look at that perspective, I would say that was more damaging to Dynex than it was to the miners who were mining Dynex with it. I'll leave that up to you, but Doctor has released this yesterday. It's version 2.4.0. The interesting things here, of course, is going to be the Crypto Night XHV and the Crypto Night GPU on NVIDIA GPUs. And then really what I wanted to dig into was the support for the ETH B3 on Intel Arc GPUs. Thank you, good sir. I was wanting to put my Intel GPUs on more than just Ergo, and so I have another option here. And then the other interesting thing here that is awesome, I think in general, is going to be the dual mining support for ETH B3 and Blake 3 and Radiant. And really right now, if I had to choose between the two, the thing is there are FPGAs on both Alephium and Radiant. However, there are more on Radiant than on Alephium because the bit stream for Alephium is quite private at this point. And so that means there's less FPGA miners on it than you have on Radiant. So if you're wanting to get the best bang for your buck as the most reward you can get from mining, I would probably go with the ETH B3 and Alephium. So there you go as far as that's concerned. Apparently there was also improved performance on Autolicos 2. So that's going to be Ergo for NVIDIA, Intel, and some AMD GPUs. I'm interested in the Intel boost. I'm definitely going to be testing that out this week and letting you guys know where that is headed. And so the new release for SRB Miner is here. You can check it out. And then we had the new release from BZ Miner, kind of getting into the Dynex side of things. This is a beta release. The performance is not that good, but if you have AMD GPUs, it's kind of your only option. Technically, you have SRB Miner, at least up until now. You can see here the big thing, remove the algorithm for Dynex. You could technically, I don't know actually if 2.3.9 still works at all. That's supposed to be deprecated with the release of this, but this isn't an official release. So I think SRB 2.3.9 still works technically, but Regardless, it is going to go away. So BZ Miner and iDoc over there, great dude. He's been working on this for a while. I've been chatting with him about this for like months, and he's been extremely apprehensive about it. Obviously, a big reason that a lot of mining software, just that I can tell you guys right now, a reason why a lot of the mining software developers were not implementing Dynex is because Dynex is changing the requirements for the mining software quite a lot. And then on top of that, when these mining devs were developing it, they were like, well, I'm getting nowhere close to where SRB Miner is. So it's kind of like they would reverse engineer it, which is eventually why SRB Miner got caught, right? But they would reverse engineer it, trying to figure out why is it performing so well, and then just kind of give up or let it sit on the back burner, because why even release a miner for Dynex if you are like 300% slower than the competition? It's just, it's a useless endeavor, right? You're not going to hit it. Now, the good news is that there's incentive here for iDoc to go ahead and begin to dig into this and get it up and running. That being said, of course, right now, I would say this beta version, 18 beta 1, is not going to be, you know, super profitable on AMD GPUs. It still feels like, to me, you're like stuck with one Z miner or 1.0 miner and NVIDIA GPUs for this particular cryptocurrency until he has more time to come out with it. But if you want to test it, you can test it out at bzminer.com/betas, or you can go into his Discord group. Links down in the description below. All right, so we have more releases down the line too. I can never pronounce this. I think it's Neura AI or Neurai, something like that. Makes me neurotic, but that being said, version 1.0.3 has been released. They added checkpoints and some typos, update price with CoinGecko, fixed a typo in the halving system, updated Docker files for Linux and Windows, updated images in the Qt wallet, and added a directory with several Docker files. So this also kind of, like I said, coincided with, this doesn't seem like anything super impactful, but seeing development continue on this project is obviously going to be, you know, a core to which coins will once again rise to the top here. And you can see that Neurai is definitely pumping here at 68% over the past 7 days. So they're doing some work over there. It's good to see it. A more interesting turn of events, I think, was Ethereum this week, which I believe Ethereum had the biggest gains over the past 7 days, going up 100% to 42 cents. A lot of that is because there's inflows. There's something to use Ethereum for. And if you guys aren't familiar with bridges allow you interoperability between chains. In this particular case, this is going to be between Ethereum and Ethereum, right? And the big thing about this is that it gives people an option to add liquidity here, which means injecting some of their cryptocurrency for a potential to gain some of the fees off of other people utilizing it for the swaps. What this means, of course, is that there is less Ethereum in the circulating supply, which results in obviously more demand, which means the price of the token goes up. And that is really what you're seeing here with Ethereum. But it's not just that. So I don't want you to think that just because the token bridge is sucking up a lot of this liquidity that you have this going on. In the background, the tip I received earlier this week came from FPGA developers stating that similar paths were being taken that they utilized on Caspa on both Ethereum and Radiant. So part of these pump ups from Ethereum and Radiant are coming from a bit of miner manipulation. So keep that in mind when you are kind of getting into these things and paying attention to them. That being said, obviously, Alephium had the biggest gains because not only is it benefiting from a lot of these new FPGA miners coming online, but it's also benefiting from the sucking up of the liquidity of the token itself. Now, if you'd like a guide on utilizing the token bridge, let me know. I have done an old one for the beta bridge with the faucet on the testnet, but I can do an updated one now that we have the official available here and how you can go ahead and get this configured. So, pretty cool stuff. Now, if you are a hardware nerd, Flux has always been interesting, but now I think it's getting extremely interesting because on December 15th, we'll have Flux Core beta coming in. And what this is going to allow you to do is basically go in and start to utilize the useful work of the proof of useful work portion of Flux. And, you know, this is going to be pretty much a marketing article here. You can read the whole thing down in the description below. I'm not going to get into the entire thing here because frankly, I just don't feel like it because it's very long. But the coolest part, I think, from my perspective is if I scroll down here, you have this benchmarking utility. And so it says benchmarking is crucial for comparing machines and identifying the top performing ones connected to the proof of useful work network. We've seamlessly integrated cutting edge benchmarking tools into the Flux Core application, empowering users to consistently benchmark their machines and assess performance with their current hardware setup. If users are not happy with the results, they can make hardware adjustments and rerun the benchmark to make informed comparisons. This iterative process allows users to fine-tune their setups, offering optimal machines for customer utilization in the later stages. The initial integrated benchmarking software focuses on AI, artificial intelligence, and rendering, encompassing AI training, AI inference, and Blender. As we progress, we'll introduce additional benchmarking software to enhance the benchmark score robustness and precision. In addition to individual benchmark scores, we provide service-specific total scores. For example, the total score for the AI benchmark is determined using a weighted formula that takes into account both AI training and inference scores, resulting in the overall AI benchmark score. All benchmarking entries are documented on a publicly accessible website known as the Benchmark Leaderboard, which is awesome. The web-based leaderboard will display benchmark scores aggregated from different users across the network and allow providers to compare the performance of their machines across the board. This is structured to promote healthy competition that translates into higher performing ecosystems. And here's kind of a clip of the benchmark public website that you can go to and the scores that you can get here. Now, when I started this channel way back, first it started out as gaming, then I moved into reviewing graphics cards. That's how I fell into mining Ethereum in the first place. And the coolest thing ever was utilizing like hardwarebot.org or, you know, just 3D Mark and Steam and seeing if you could beat other scores with the same equipment. And that is really what I see here, that like from a content creation standpoint as well is going to be extremely cool. Like having all of the crypto mining YouTubers kind of fighting for that high score, kind of like we saw back in the day from like Linus Tech Tips and Jay's 2 Cents, etc. So I think this is dope. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on it. We will, of course, have to see this implemented into the marketplace eventually to see what the profitability will be like and so on. But this is pretty neat. And so there is potential. If you want to participate in the beta, you can start downloading it on December 15th. You can stay tuned for details on how to download it closer to the official release on their Discord. Check out the links down in the description below. Okie doke. So the next thing that I wanted to just mention real quick is that Abelian has been listed now at xt.com. I've already covered how to mine it with a more detailed guide on sonofatech.locals.com, but there is a free version on how to mine it with Windows here on YouTube. Now, later in the week, I will be uploading the how to update and mine a billion on Hive OS. That will be for locals only until we have better support for Hive OS and Linux tools in general. But if you're interested in that, that will be locked behind the paywall over at sonofatech.locals.com. It's performing quite well. It had that, initial bump up and dip, same as any other launch. Then it settled out. And then once we've kind of had a day or two, we can see kind of this nice steady growth already kind of taking off. So actually super promising with the volume already being extremely high. So as far as, almost $100,000 in volume, and it's really only been out for a couple days. So a little bit of promise, or a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for people that were already mining that. On top of that, BlockX has released their updates, and BlockX has recently gone up in price. What's even more interesting is, and it looks like it signed me out, but over the past 24 hours or so, I have been mining on an Antminer D9, and the past 24 hours, it made $44. Now, remember, when they initially launched their master nodes, I think the miners were doing about $88. But then you had the master nodes come into play, and you split the block reward. So BlockX quickly came back down, and then it appears to have recovered to essentially the profitability that it was before. Now, of course, there's the masternode side of things. I would check out your friend Andy if you're interested in masternodes, as I do not really delve into the masternode side of things. I don't like having one coin. The X11 miner, I do like a little bit more than some of the other ASICs because I do have multiple coins at least now at this point to mine, but they launched their Explorer demo, which you can check out at xp.blockx.space. They also expanded the wallet networks, and they've initiated the integration of additional networks as far as Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain into their wallet. And that should offer some good interoperability coming down the line. Masternode automation and web wallet voting, which is going to be good, obviously, for governance, etc. Twitter Spaces, AMA with the Swift blockchain is just, promotion stuff. And the partnership with Swift blockchain is actually kind of interesting. They did announce this partnership. I do think it did result in a tick up in the price over the past, it did result in a tick up of the price. So there was that. I think that was mainly the partnership with Swift. There's some server improvements that they had. They'll be conducting server improvements. This means that they will be changing and enlarging their server capacities to ensure a seamless experience with lightning fast data loading, avoiding any server overloads, so we can keep your experience as convenient as possible. Grand release of the Block Explorer, which is already in beta. We talked about it earlier. And then you have the integrations that are coming, which we talked about as well, and so on. So go ahead and check out BlockX. They are continuing to develop, which once again, that's what we're looking for going into the next bull run, is who has continued and who maybe even started working during the bear market and is continuing to progress. These are the coins that we're going to want to pay attention to, obviously. Now, my nice hash logged me out, so I can't show you here, but I did do the conversion. We made this much Bitcoin on the X11 miner over the past 24 hours, and that resulted in 44.31 US dollars. And that was through NiceHash. I don't know what the direct mining profitability would be if I had pointed it directly at BlockX, but there you go. GPU mining. Let's take a look at it before we get into the Q&A. Alephium is really kind of vying for the top, with Dynex kind of coming in second. And then, on the AMD GPUs, we're seeing, I believe, Meowcoin, a little bit of Alpha on the 7000 series. And then Meowcoin, which has also had a recent pump up. I think obviously the big mover here to look at right now is going to be the Alephium, because the days are numbered on ALF. As soon as you get a public bit stream that applies to E300s, FK33s, C1100s, all of those FPGAs. The GPU mining days of ALF are over. I would lean towards, in general, going the higher revenue route and probably doing the Rethereum plus Alephium. Personally, that way I'm stacking a couple things, or you could do Ergo plus Alephium, I believe is supported with SRB Miner as well. So, look at that with your dual mining. If that's something you're interested in looking at, that's what I would lean towards. Let me know what you would lean towards, of course, in the comment section and the live chat. So, so to give you guys an idea, I don't read chat till the end because I kind of have all of these topics to get through, and then we can chat at the end. Then, because it makes it easier basically for people to watch it later. All right. Excuse me. So I did get, Ice River sent me a KS0 Pro. Some of you may be aware of that. Some of you may not. We mined the first few days over on NiceHash, and that gave us between $5 and $6 per day in revenue from NiceHash. It takes about 100 watts at the wall. And then right now I have it on Humpool, but I'm going to have to switch it off Humpool because unfortunately, Humpool does not give me like a daily pricing or whatever, or a daily payout. Their board just looks like this. So my testing didn't get done the way I wanted it to. I put it on Humpool because I wanted to basically move the hash rate over. I should have put it on a pool I had more experience with. So it is what it is. I think over the past day or whatever, I think I put it on yesterday or day before yesterday, like 130 something Caspa along those lines. If we did like a calculator for the past day and a half, I guess, we did 23 plus 113 times 0.14. It's about $19. So regardless, I guess in general, if you were looking at NiceHash versus mining directly with your KS0 Pro, I'll tentatively say, until we move this over, it does appear that you would be more profitable mining Caspa directly. Of course, this does present issues with some people dependent on their geographical location, so keep that in mind and plan accordingly. This is kind of opposite of what's happening with the Antminer D9 right now. And really the reason for this, or the differences, right, is one has a masternode component to it, the BlockX, which everybody is trying to buy or mine through NiceHash because they can't get it as easily on an exchange. It ends up being cheaper for them to do that through NiceHash, driving the price up or profitability of the D9 up on NiceHash. Whereas the KS0 Pro, the profitability goes up if you mine directly because it doesn't have that masternode component. This kind of is all dependent, but as we kind of test and as miners, we're trying to figure out where that profitability lies. These are things to take into consideration, but it looks like it's about twice as profitable right now at the current price of Caspa on mining directly than it is to mine with NiceHash. So there you go. And then we have ASIC miner profitability. Obviously, the KS3 and KS2 topping the charts. KS1s, KS0s would probably all be up here. You have the Antminer D7, funny enough, coming in third, because these aren't released yet. The 21 Hydros. There we go. That being said, the D9 is out. So, there's that. The D9's a lot more efficient, right? So almost twice as efficient, I think, last I checked, but it's not on MinerStat yet. You have the iPolo G1 coming in there on the 4th place. Very interesting on Grincoin, but it, I don't think this is real, basically. E9 Pros, ET hash coins recently pumped. They were kind of getting mined out thanks to proof of work blocks and a couple others, and then those kind of tanked. And then the L7's really kind of gone downhill in general. So there you go. And this is what you got to be careful with too. You know, this is why I'm apprehensive to, or still am apprehensive to the K heavy hash ASICs, is because we only have one coin for it. Of course, script should be a little bit better, but ASICs in general, they're hard to move between. That's why, you know, you look at the KA3, luckily that's coming back up in profitability. But not near as what it used to be, right? So the ASIC game is a tricky one. It's a tricky one for sure. There are, on the Bitcoin side of things, obviously lots more competition, and especially with this kind of new revolution of getting a bunch of control board options for these, they're quite enticing. So more modification, more ways to optimize, that sort of stuff. That's why I went that route. Let's go ahead and get into questions and answers. Remember, super chats are never required, always appreciated, first to be answered. You can tag at Son of a Tech, and I will see it more easily. If you do not tag at Son of a Tech, there's no guarantee that I will be able to read it. So just a little heads up. I don't know what happened to, okay, there we go. Now I can scroll up and down. Solar Miner in Spain said, at Son of a Tech, a lot of miners purchased AMD cards because of the efficiency. Yeah, and that is one thing that really, you know, that's a good point. Technically, SRB miner did kind of screw over miners from the perspective of the miners not being aware that a cheat was in place, which resulted in them making a bad purchase, right? Or a bad purchase, a less optimized purchase. So that's pretty rough. Homebrew Crypto said, at Son of a Tech, are you able to move USDT off the Alephium bridge or via the bridge? I have not checked. I will look at that later. We can do a guide on it. Little Jim says, at Son of a Tech, would it be reasonable to buy a KS0 now? If you're talking about the KS0 Pro, the return on investment is super quick. Now, if you check the link in the description, you're going to want to basically put some sort of bot on there, because I believe at iceriver.io, let me double check. I thought they were sold out again. Yeah, they're sold out again. So the return on investment is going to change depending on where you buy them from and how much you're paying for it, right? When the KS0 Pro launched, and really they didn't sell out right away on iceriver.io, they were worth it at that $420. I think it was $500 all in shipped. That would be paid off in, you know, I think what I say is like $10 a day right now. So, you know, what is it? It's stupid. It's stupid. 50 days or something. I don't know. Not even 2 months. So the ROI from that perspective, my plan would probably be in the future to take it and just use it as a gambling machine because of the low power, and just solo mine Caspa and hope that it hits a couple blocks once it becomes unprofitable. Because you got to take into account that there will probably be more competitors on the ASIC side, and there will be a lot more hash rate. So it doesn't look like the hash rate growth on the network is slowing down. So you have to take that into account. Homebrew says, Son of a Tech thoughts on Locotech. No opinion on it. Hawk says, at Son of a Tech, what was the coin you mentioned? Abil or Able? A billionaire. Yeah, it's Able. Jacob Madsen says, at Son of a Tech, what do you think of the token that follows Bitcoin ordinals called Ordi? I don't know. I haven't had a chance to research that yet either. So I will open up my docs here, and it looks like People are wondering my opinion on Locotech. Ah, let's see. And Bitcoin ordinals, ORDI, which I have heard of, but I haven't researched yet. The ORDI token. Got it. All right. We'll put those down to do some research for you guys. The PSU is sold out. Okay, good call. Let me refresh that. You are correct. So I would buy it directly through Ice River. You can buy those light-on power supplies. I'll get the model number off those and then find the Amazon link and put that down in the description later. And then I'll post it over on Twitter and Locals and Facebook so you guys are aware. So, yeah, I mean, you have a pretty safe bet of being able to ROI the KS0 Pro. You just do. Right now, it's looking like on NiceHash, it's 100 days mining directly. If you can liquidate, half that time. Oh, a little less. Or a little more than half that time. Trillion says, that Son of a Tech, what is your favorite GPU right now? That's an interesting question. That shifts from day to day. I still am liking the ARC a lot. But that's provided SRB miner keeps updating, right? You just don't get that much memory bandwidth for that price. So the Intel Arc A580, because they released that A580, and I believe it is still like stupid cheap while everything else is going up in price. Let me check Newegg. Yeah, they're dumb, dude. You can get the Intel Arc A580, which would be 512 gigabits per second, 8 gigabytes of video memory, support for Rethereum, Ergo, all that for $169 a pop after rebate, $179 before rebate. I don't think you're going to find anything better, and you get the warranty still. Aether Wright says, Ask Tech, when do you think is a good time to sell old GPUs, and where? So for 3060s, I would presume 3060s still go up in price, especially right now. I would, typically I would say 6 months after the halving, somewhere around there. John English says, Ask Tech, are you going to test the KS0 Pro mining to your node? Yes, I will be doing that. No, YouTube says, That's Time of Tech, thoughts on Lincoin merge mining Syscoin competition. I do not, I'm not familiar with it. I'll add it to my list of things I need to catch up on. Lincoin and Syscoin. Got it. Homebrew Crypto says, but is the A580 efficient? Yes, extremely efficient on Ergo. I'll have to test Rethereum because we just got support for that, so I don't know if it is on Rethereum. Well, Homebrew, the problem with the mining software is not a lot of people have been updating mining software either. So that's been a big deal. Kevin says, are you looking at getting any of the new M60 series from What's Miner? Probably not. I think I'm paused on A6 right now. For the most part. And the S19s have been too cheap. So that's what I've been doing. Sustainable says, good price for a C1100. I wouldn't know right now. You probably want to go get into one of the FPGA discords and hop around and look. I know that the main FPGA discord has a marketplace. Let me see if I see any C1100s here. I don't even see any listed. Probably have to do a search. I don't see anything right now. Here we go. Hold on. That's an adapter. That's not a C1100. They look to be actually kind of difficult to get a hold of still. There's a lot of FK33s for sale. Ospreys, obviously. Austin says, you see Rethereum maybe rebranding. I didn't see anything about the rebranding. That's interesting, though. Homebrew says, are you planning to move to a new warehouse space with better rates? Yeah, I'm working on that right now. I have to tie up other legal issues first. You get stuck. I got stuck for like a year. Aetherite says, Asamatech, is USDT or USDC a better choice for preserving value if I want to stay away from fiat for reinvestment after the bull market? Why not just pull out the US dollar? Aether. I don't know which, like, those stable coins, like, USDT's been the most reliable, I think, but we've seen that, we've all seen them depeg, right? All right, boys, thanks for watching today. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bells down below so you're notified when I release a new video or go live on the channel. We'll be having the KS0 Pro review coming out a little bit later. I did forget to mention, I did post a short already, but it runs at surface temperature at 61 degrees Celsius. So it is quite toasty. You want to keep it away from burning your kids or dogs or pets or whatever that may be, and don't touch it while it's running. You should be fine as far as it's running within spec, so it'll still mine fine. Just don't touch it, and you'll be golden. Go ahead and hit that like. Once again, I'll see you next Tuesday. Don't forget to check out sonofatech.locals.com. Become a supporter over there for $5 a month. That's the way you can directly support me. And then also, if you want to, you can purchase my crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com. That includes a free month of supporter status over at Locals in case you just want to check it out and get immediate value from the e-course. There is that option as well. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys, and I will see you next Tuesday.